Hello and welcome. Moving large objects has always been very difficult for humanity. Before the Industrial Revolution and the steam engine, streams and man-made canals were used to transport heavy cargo. This limited the places cities, industrial centers, and communities could reside in. Thanks to coal mining, however, the solution was found. Miners needed a way to transport coal out of the mines. Rails and carts were created to solve this problem. Pushing or pulling these carts was easier than carrying the coal, but still very difficult. Even when done with animals, it was not ideal. Development of the steam engine would solve this problem of power and energy. The first engine to do actual work was made by Richard Trevithick in 1803. It was called the Newcastle. Here is a picture. Moving forward to September 27th of 1825, the Stockton and Darlington Railway was finished and entered service. It was designed by George Stephenson. This railroad would carry passengers and freight. This was the very new technology and very experimental. It was the first railroad to operate with a combination of passengers and any other shipments by any shipper. After completing the railway of Stockton and Darlington, Stephenson managed and designed the construction of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. Unlike the previous railway that sometimes used horse-powered cars to transport people, this one solely relied on the locomotive engines. The Liverpool and Manchester Railway was designed from the beginning to be mostly for passenger transport. As mentioned before, the need for engines and rail lines was brought up by the problems and difficulties of transporting coal. At first, the coal business would be the determining factor of where these railways were built and between what cities. The first line in France to be constructed was located in the Stéphanois coalfield, southwest of Lyon. One of the later railroads built in France was Saint-Lazare. The Saint-Lazare station was opened in 1837 and carried over 40,000 passengers daily. In 1877, Claude Monet captured the essence of the Saint-Lazare station in his painting named The Saint-Lazare Station. At the time, railways and trains were still very new technology. Monet was trying to capture the light and atmosphere more than the actual landscape. In the picture, you could see how the station is open. This was specifically engineered to stop the smoke from accumulating inside the station. The frame of the shed-like station was built of iron. This type of building that reinforced with iron was very modern at the time, and complemented the new technology very well. Having a closer look at Monet's painting, you may notice it was not very clear and merely an impression of what Monet saw. The Impressionist era was a movement that saw a shift from realistic paintings to impressions or sketch-like paintings of scenery. These styles of paintings were not accepted by salons, which were exhibitions held by the French Academy of Fine Arts. As a response, the Impressionist painters had independently held exhibitions that came to be known as Impressionist exhibitions. The name of Impressionist came from a critic in 1874 who was against Impressionist art and wanted to insult the artwork Sunrise, another painting by Monet, at the first Impressionist showcase. Although this name was meant as an insult, it caught on with the community of Impressionists, and soon everybody else, and thus became the name of the movement and art period. This was not a new term, and was used to describe things such as sketches before. The Impressionist name was found to be a great suit for this style of art, because it shared many similarities with sketches. They were both quick to paint or draw, and were a representation of what was seen by the eye at the moment. In the painting The Saint-Lazare Station, one can see that Monet did not blend his brushstrokes, but instead made them visible and clear. This fits in very well with the sketch-like style of Impressionism. In the painting, large apartment buildings can be seen beyond the train station. This was caused by the Industrial Revolution, which was not only the cause for the railways and stations, but also a rapid urbanization movement. Workers would be able to find jobs in these large industrial centers, so they would move into the city. With more demand for housing, the buildings rose into multi-story apartments. This paid labor meant people had money to spend and leisure time when not at work. The streets of Paris, as a result, widened to accommodate more people and movement. France was relatively slow to industrialize when compared to Britain and Belgium. For the French, the technology seen in Monet's painting is even newer and more fascinating to the French people. Monet usually tried to capture natural landscapes. However, the modernity of the station and Paris captured his interest and inspired him to paint the Saint-Lazare station to capture the essence, light, and experience of being at the station at that very moment. Thank you for watching.